Hi, my name's Ed Balls and I'm sitting here in my House of Commons office with a whole series of questions which have been emailed in to the website over the last week or so since we asked you to send in your questions. And I'll try and be short, but I'll try and answer as many questions as I can. If we don't answer them today, please do email in or call if we can help in any way. First question's from June Bridgewater in Stanley. She says, with our constituency of Normanton disappearing, if you get elected, you'll have 2 local authorities to deal with. Will that make it harder for you to represent us? Look, June, as you know, we all in our constituency and across Wakefield didn't like the boundary changes. Same thing was true in Leeds as well. But and it will be more complicated for me having 2 different local authorities if I'm elected next time round, dealing with housing in Wakefield, housing in Leeds, schools as well. But that's the way it is. These are the constituencies we're dealing with. And actually, what I found in the last few months, working really hard around issues of jobs and investment, is that there's common issues for those constituencies, those areas which are around the junction of the M1, the M62, the A1, around the motorway corridor. We want to get more jobs and investment coming in, but that means focusing on planning, on transport, on the things which we need Leeds and Wakefield to do together to get jobs and investment coming in. And I'm going to work really hard on that, I think to the benefit of Morley and Outwood and all the villages and towns which are part of the new constituency. And as for Stanley, June, I promise you that Stanley won't get overlooked, nor will Outwood, nor will Renthorpe, and nor will any of the parts of the new constituency, Morley, Ardsley, Tingley, all the other places as well. Second question from Bob Kirk in Outwood. There are loads of young people that hang around Outwood Park in the evenings. New football and basketball facilities haven't stopped it, and even the new children's play area can get overrun by teens. I know what you're talking about, Bob. I was over on the Avenue, Ledger Lane, a few weeks ago talking to residents. I know that the curfew has really improved things. Things have got much better on Ledger Lane, but there are still problems in the park. It's something I'm talking to the local police about. It's something we need to be vigilant about, because you can't have that brilliant new play area being vandalised or damaged, and people don't want to feel unsafe going into the park. But the other thing I think feel really strongly, we've got to be tough on the law, but also there's got to be more young places for young people to go, things to do after school and at the weekends rather than just hanging around. The investment in youth services is really important, and the police are backing that investment so that we can make a difference. Question from Yvonne Sewell in Morley. I tutor children with special learning difficulties like dyslexia and dyspraxia. There's a real problem with schools not recognising these difficulties until a child's 2 or more years behind. Yvonne is completely right. Early intervention is key. We've got to screen young people. If they're getting into trouble with learning or reading or writing, we need to know that if they're in year 1 or year 2. That's why I'm paying for 10,000 dyslexia teachers across the country, specialists, to work with groups of schools, spot problems early, and then get extra one-to-one to help, specialist help for children if they're falling behind, if they've got a learning difficulty. If not, as you say, they fall behind and never catch up. Whereas if we address it early, every child could do well. And I know parents want to know if their child needs extra help, they'll get it, and that's what we'll do. Question from Malcolm in Normanton about immigration. He says that he and his nephew and his family moved recently to New Zealand. They both were carefully scrutinised, they had jobs, they needed full health checks. Shouldn't we do the same thing before people get visas to come here? The answer is, Malcolm, you're completely right, and the way in which we've toughened up the law on immigration I think is really important. Look, the fact is we do need people coming in from abroad in shortage subjects, IT, nursing, where there's places you can't hire. But at the same time, we've got to be really clear, we've got to control this. People have got to come in with the skills, with a job, and also to learn English if they don't speak English, and they're not going to be entitled to benefits, but must pay their taxes when they first arrive. I think that tough but fair approach is completely right. What I don't agree with at all is the sort of xenophobia and racism of the BNP, who say if you are a different race, a different colour, different religion, you're second class, even if you're British. There's no place for that racism in our society. It's not British. But at the same time, people are concerned about immigration. It's got to be properly controlled, and that's what we've got to do, and that's what we're determined to do. I've talked to lots of people in the constituency over the last few months, and I think that most people agree with that sensible, balanced approach. Final question was from Irving, who says, nice newsletter. All this talk of a Tory election victory worries me. New generation out there don't know what it was like when the Tories were last in power. How about telling them? I think I might read Irving's words here. Negative equity, inflation at 80%, VAT going up, 3 million unemployed. I could go on. You're completely right, Irving. People remember what happened. Public services cut, unemployment soaring, youth unemployment really high, also the mines closing, child poverty rising as well when the Tories were in government. To be honest, the more you hear from David Cameron, his determination to cut public services, not to invest in youth jobs, to leave Europe, the more you realise that they've not changed at all. It's the same old Tories. Nobody wants to go back to those days. Let's not take the risk. What we've got to do is keep investing in the economy, keep stability, keep inflation low, keep creating jobs, keep investing in schools and hospitals. That's what we've got to do, and that's what we're going to do. That's our commitment as a Labour Party and as a Labour government. Thanks very much for listening. I hope that was helpful. Do send me in more questions and we'll do this again. Thanks a lot.